think. And the only way that would change is if Arizona trades back and gives another team spot number 3 overall, in which case you'd have quarterback. Because Indy also needs their passer, and then the Seahawks would have their pick of the litter when it comes to defense at number 5 overall. That is not what Adam Schefter sees.
What if the run on quarterbacks gets a little bit delayed? We've been hearing about quarterbacks going 1, 2, 3, 4. That's not going to happen, I don't believe, in this draft. And what would happen if and when we've seen Carolina make the move up right away for a quarterback at 1, but we haven't seen anybody trade up to 2 when Houston's open to listening. We haven't seen anybody trade up to number 3 because you know what? I think Indianapolis thinks there's a real chance right now that they could sit right where they are at 4 and get potentially the second quarterback in this draft. There's a chance we might not see a quarterback go at 2 or even 3, and there might not be a team that trades up because the value in that isn't what we thought it would be. So Indianapolis may be sitting there with its pick of the litter, Anthony Richardson or Will Levis or C.J. Stroud.
Bump, your reaction.
It sounds like my man is tap dancing and trying to sell something to the public right now.
Right? A little bit.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, and even if he's right, it's just the delivery is just it makes me feel like he is in cahoots with somebody.
Yeah.
And
what agent are you talking to?
Exactly.
Adam?
And he's like, look, man, Adam, I slide you an extra little $10K under the table. Go ahead and put this out for me. You know what I'm saying? That's what it feels like what's going on. Is that a possibility? Of course it's a possibility, right? I look at the Texans. Now, I'm going to talk a little more in-depthly about the Texans and Fort Allen territory. But I look at them and I understand why they wouldn't go quarterback. I feel 100% positive saying that the Cardinals aren't going to go after a quarterback, but the Colts for sure. So there's 2 things that I know. I know that the Panthers are going for a quarterback. The Colts are going for a quarterback. 2 and 3 is where it gets a bit tricky because if Arizona feels like they can market or shop this 3rd-round pick and move back for a few more picks and still get a defensive player, I can see that going down. It's all about how Ryans over there in Texas with the Houston Texans wants to build his team. And you and I think we're pretty much in line when it comes to you gotta start with a QB. You need a guy who's going to be under center for a while and lead the charge. But is it a possibility? Yeah, it's a possibility what Shefty's saying. But the delivery makes me feel like he is throwing something out there and going to see who nibbles and who bites at this.
Now, I also assumed that the Texans would go quarterback. The one thing that the Texans have going in their favor that might keep them from going quarterback, and maybe they're hoping next year they can look at someone like a Caleb Williams. Bump, when we talk about the Seahawks at number 5, one of the things we always say is you never know if you're going to have this pick again. You don't know if during Schneider's tenure and Carroll's tenure you're going to be picking top 5 again. You haven't done it since 2009. And the reason is because you're a successful organization, because you don't often stare at a number 5 or higher pick. The Texans, different story. There is a real world where they pick number 2 or trade back from that spot, and then next year have another shot at a top 5 spot because they are a horrible team in a great conference. So it's the only thing that makes me wonder if they'd be willing to pass on a quarterback they're not in love with. Unlike Seattle, they might get another shot at a top quarterback next year.
Yeah, the Texans, you can pencil them in for the next couple of years having a top 10 pick, possibly a top 5.
Yeah.
Because you know it takes more than one draft and a couple offseason acquisitions to change the identity of an organization. So they could be playing, the long game. They could be running a marathon and saying, look, man, we know. Now, obviously, you're going to go out and try to win ball games, but you know that all the great football minds in this country understand that it doesn't happen in 1 year. If it does, good for you. So it all depends on their approach, but I'm under the assumption that they're going to go and try to win right now. DeMeco Ryans does not want to sit around on the sideline and lose for a couple years and have his job in jeopardy.
General manager for the Texans, Nick Caserio, said they have received calls about that 2nd overall pick.
We've received some calls, actually, on the number 2 pick. So I think our job and responsibility is to listen, not rule anything out. And I think whatever the end result is come Thursday, we'll be prepared to go either way. So if you want to quote me, are we open for business? I'd say we're open to listening. So if you want to change the vocabulary this year a little bit, but we have received a few calls, and again, I think our responsibility is to listen, to try to take the information in, and then just make the right decision.
It doesn't sound like someone who's like super open to trading back, though GMs are always going to be a little tight-lipped about things. I will say this, Bump. Adam Schefter, he does sound like he's carrying a little bit of water for someone, but he's not the only reporter saying the Texans could trade back. CBS Sports' Jordan Dejani says that he has also heard rumors that the Texans may not be sold at a quarterback at number 2 overall, and adds that some mocks do have them trading out of that pick. He says that they also have a pick later, so they could have, a team, like they still have picks that they might deem valuable and might be a little more comfortable because of that, moving back in the first round. If you're trading to 2, though, you're doing it to take a quarterback, are you not? So there's still going to be, right? There's still going to be quarterback. I can't see a world.
You're not moving up to 2.
To take Jalen Carter.
No.
Watch this happen.
You're not. But
right.
you never know.